The Mike Perry versus Jake Paul fight, I truly believe that bare knuckle has the biggest dogs on planet Earth.
I'm going to go with Mike Perry for this.
This may not be what you wanted to hear, but I think Jake Paul's going to win against Mike Perry because he's been taking this seriously, and I have a few friends that work in his camp, and he's looking good.
Let me tell you, BKFC has the baddest, and that's why Mike Perry is going to go out and dominate Jake Paul.
When Jake Paul tries to come at him and he sees that Mike Perry won't stop coming forward, it's going to be over.
Jake Paul can box, but he's fighting a different type of beast when he runs into Perry.
He has the power. A lot of times, beside the skills, this is something that you need to have in you.
Hey, destroy that guy, bro.
Jake Paul, I'm finna beat your ass. Jake, I will be your ass. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
School Perry, time to go back to school. Get W at Walmart.
I already beat his ass in sparring and made him my son, and he's even admitting to that, and he's saying he has the plan, but we don't believe it. We just don't believe it. And July 20th, I'm gonna show the world the sparring session live.
Is that what happened, Mike?
Well, first of all, it seems I hit him hard enough because I know he was ducking and running that the whole 6 rounds. So it seems when I made him duck into my uppercut, he must have forgot that last round.
After Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson was unfortunately postponed to an ulcer flare-up last month, Jake Paul made a shocking announcement that he was fighting Mike Perry on July 20th. Paul versus Mike Perry doesn't got the same appeal as Paul versus Mike Tyson, notably because Platinum Perry ain't very popular among fans. Nevertheless, the two have done well to promote the fight. Now, the combat sports world, especially fighters in the UFC, are excited about this fight, and many have shared their opinions. Now, there have also been some shocking predictions on who wins this fight, so make sure to stick around and watch this one till the end. You don't want to miss it.
My official prediction for the fight, 3 rounds or less, calling it now. These guys can't hang with me. Nobody's really been able to see my skill for the past year. I've had new coaches, development has gone amazing, and I'm excited to put on a performance July 20th. Get this knockout, get this W at Walmart. I'll see y'all there. Roll the trailer.
Jake Paul, Mike Perry, the fight is on.
This fight is massive. It's a massive risk. It is a gamble. Mike's dangerous.
This fight's been building for years. He's been shit-talking me, begging me for the fight.
Jake Paul, man.
I'm here, buddy. Jake, you don't want this.
What if Mike Perry knocks out Jake Paul?
July 20th, Mike's getting put to sleep.
Mike Perry's a brawler, man.
I'm gonna bring it to him.
Jake Paul's made a massive mistake.
Mike Perry can flatline, absolutely.
I'm the real problem. You don't want it?
I am Mike Perry's father.
Mike Perry is going to destroy Jake Paul.
Mike Perry beats Jake Paul the fuck up.
At the latest face-off, Jake Paul boldly predicted himself defeating Mike Platinum Perry in 3 rounds or less, which is pretty audacious considering that Perry ain't no ordinary fighter. In case y'all didn't know already, Mike Perry is the bare knuckle boxing champion with some impressive victories to his name. Not only that, but Perry also had a stint in the UFC and has won some significant fights. Now, Perry's record in the UFC stands at 14 victories and 22 fights. Out of 14, 11 victories was through knockout. Now, although his professional boxing record isn't very impressive, Perry's going to be looking to change that as he takes on the problem child on July 20th. During their latest face-off, Platinum had a stern warning to Paul. Just check this out.
Bare knuckle is just a couple times in competition. Countless days of 16-ounce gloves, full gear in a 95-degree gym, training with, heavyweights, cruiserweights, middleweights, whatever. Lots of different people. No one even comes close to hurting me. Even if you've seen me stumble, it's easy to point your finger when you're not the one
in my position, in my shoes. But
in your fake shoes.
That's fine. They're gonna be real all this weekend.
Hell yeah, they will be.
Real this weekend.
Dude,
I got lots of nice real shoes.
Oh, yeah, bro.
Like I said, bro, those people online don't know about boxing, so they just take it and run with it. You know, it's rigged if you win, and you ain't when I win. So that's how it's gonna go. So fuck all them. It's you and me. We'll be in the ring. Our team, it's a great team versus my great team. I think they're great. You can say whatever you want about them, but I know that we put in a lot of work and effort and a great game plan, and I don't mind getting punched in my face, so the game plan ain't changing.
Sick. That's what's up, bro.
Jake, okay, cool.
I'm happy for you and all that, or sorry for your loss. I wasn't really listening to what you said there.
They were. The camera was.
All right.
Mike Perry is pretty pumped up for the fight. Now, he's also been spotted having a great time at the pre-fight final face-off, too.
That's all good between you and me, bro. I can't help it. I really appreciate the opportunity. Let's done a great job.
All right, let's bring out all the fighters one last time for one group photo op.
Let's go!
All 10 fighters competing on this main card. And don't forget, headlining the prelims beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern is Shadeja Green, among many others.
And as we mentioned at the beginning of the video, a lot of MMA fighters are also excited about the fight, with quite a few predicting a Platinum Perry victory. But let's take a look at that. Okay, so among the many who feel that Perry's got a strong chance of beating Jake Paul is former MMA fighter and YouTuber Michael Bisping. In one of his earlier videos, Bisping did a great job analyzing both fighters and breaking down their skills and big fights. Now, Bisping has ample respect for Perry, believing that Paul is going to be fighting a great fighter.
Jake Paul is rolling the dice here, okay? He's rolling the dice. He's grown a set of balls. He's taking on a man that is in his fighting prime, but a man that isn't a boxer. Now, Mike Perry, as we know, had a good run in the UFC. He went 14-8, he had some big fights, he lost some, he won some. No, he was a very entertaining guy. Then he went over to the bare knuckle world, and that is where Mike Perry became a star, found his groove, and started making a ton of money, regardless of what Sean Strickland says. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Sean Strickland and Mike Perry getting into a little bit of beef. But Mike Perry went over to the Bare Knuckle Association and beat some truly great fighters. Number one, Michael Venom Page, a man that's fighting at UFC 303 against Ian Gary, right? And he's closing in on a UFC title fight in just 2 fights. Michael Venom Page is tall, he's long, he's quick, but Mike Perry is an absolute savage. He also beat my old mate.
You're just an average bloke. Good use of English. I'm a samurai.
Luke Rockhold, yeah, went forward, got him done, knocked his teeth out, stopped the fight. Didn't knock him out, but knocked his front teeth out. And Luke Rockhold was like, listen, I'm too pretty for this. I'm done. Also took out the likes of Eddie Alvarez, a former UFC lightweight champion, and of course, Thiago Alves, a man that fought for the welterweight strap against George St. Pierre at UFC 100. So, no stranger to fighting great people. In the UFC, I think he went 14-8. So 20 fights or so, 22 fights in the UFC. And on the flip side for the last few years, we had Jake Paul coming from the YouTubing world into the boxing. He had a slow progression before he took on a real test, okay? He took on a basketballer. He took on Ben Askren. He took on Tyron Woodley, to be fair, but not the old Tyron Woodley. The fire's gone out and doesn't throw a punch version of Tyron Woodley. No disrespect to the former champion, of course. He did fight a real boxer once. That man's name was Tommy Fury, okay? A beginner, an amateur, but a young man in his prime and he lost. And a real fighter wants to go for the rematch, but he didn't do that. He moved on, and yeah, sure. He beat Nate Diaz. Of course, he beat Anderson Silva as well, who will be boxing again soon against Chael Sonnen, which is a surprising matchup, although I am very intrigued. In Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva. Now, there's a couple of guys in the boxing world that Jake Paul did beat. Andre August and Ryan Borland. Guys that are boxers, okay, but they're now working as Uber drivers and stuff like that, and they're way past their prime and they're way out of shape.
Bisping also talked about why Paul's making a massive mistake fighting Mike Perry, pointing out that he's one of the most skilled and athletic boxers compared to Paul's previous opponents, most of whom was all geriatric. But he also acknowledged Paul for putting in effort, training with the best professionals, and even deciding to take on some of the most powerful opponents, like Perry.
Listen, and he's got good technique. When you look at the boxing of Jake Paul, even though he was going up against Mike Tyson, there was a chance, there was the danger that he would lose that fight in devastating fashion. There was a danger he would get knocked out because he loops his shots. He's not technical, he's not sharp. Yeah, he's got power, he's a young man, he's in his prime, and he's not a bad lump of a man. So of course he's gonna have power, and he's dedicated himself, and he's got some good trainers, and he's improving all the time. So fair play, I give him respect for that, because anyone that steps in the ring, they deserve your respect. They do, if you take it on tough tests. Now he thinks Mike Perry's easy work. He thinks Mike Perry's got a big name, he's a big star, and he's gonna go out there and beat him, right? But he's wrong. Mike Perry is a fighter. Mike Perry wasn't necessarily the best jiu-jitsu artist or had the best wrestling, but there's not a fight that Mike Perry won't take. I've spoken to Mike Perry on several occasions, and he is the epitome of a real fighter. And he's an absolute star in the bare knuckle organization.
Bisping also shared a clip of his previous interview with Perry where he talked about Paul. Let's have a look.
I want to see what this Jake Paul right hand punch is doing. And when he hit with it, I remember it coming down, splitting my guard. Bam! And as I come back, I'm like this. Oh, that was a good one. Come here. They were like, oh yeah, you're a sniper. They stopped saying that shit by the 4th round. And then he started running into my shit because he moves his head like, you know, those boxers do, and I started timing him. I would throw the jab, he would slip, and I would rip the uppercut.
Alright, so Bisping may have gotten a bit carried away post his interaction with Platinum Perry, because in his latest video, Bisping shared that he's worried about Perry's chances of defeating the problem child.
The fight's getting closer. I'm starting to worry a little bit for Mike Perry, right? I'm starting to worry that Jake Paul's gonna win, right? He's going to win, maybe, and I hope not. And I don't mind saying that. I've got nothing against Jake Paul. I really don't. Right? I really don't, but he's a bit annoying. Anyway, they went face-to-face today. They talked a bit of shit. Mike Perry said he's going to reach through his eyeball and find some memories. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Can we just leave the eyeballs out of this, please? Not the eyeball. He said, your little baby green punches can't even reach my brainstem, bro.
He went on to reveal why Paul had an advantage in this fight.
He does hit hard. That knockout that he had over Tyron Woodley, that was a vicious knockout. Not often we see Tyron Woodley absolutely flatline, face down like that, okay? Yeah, he went on a losing streak in the UFC when he lost his belt. So what? The man was a legend. He defended the belt many times. He never got knocked out like that. So Jake Paul has power, and Mike Perry needs to respect him. And Jake Paul, 9-1 in boxing, the one loss to Tommy Fury, millions of dollars in the bank, very successful guy outside of boxing, doesn't need to do this, and for that, I do respect him. Look, listen, he does this because he wants to be a badass and he wants all the glory of being a fighter, but of course he also enjoys it. So I have respect for anyone that's man enough to step foot in a ring or an octagon, man or woman, pardon me. I do. I have respect, okay? But he's gamed the system a little bit. He's the bigger guy, but he's probably on paper the better boxing. It's called the sweet science for a reason. It is an extremely technical sport. And Jake Paul has brought in some of the best trainers money can buy. He's training down in Puerto Rico, and you can actually see the evolution. Every time he fights, there is little improvements. Last time out against Ryan Borland, yeah, of course it was a first round knockout, but they were massive looping shots. He was swinging. So Mike Perry's going to have to get on the inside, use little tight, nice shots, which is what he's good at. He's fast, he's aggressive, he'll be fitter, he'll push a pace, he'll be more aggressive. But I do think on paper, he's probably not as skilled a boxer, okay? And that's with nothing but love and respect for Mike Perry. I'm a huge fan of Platinum Mike Perry. I speak to him kind of regularly. As I say, nothing but respect. It's just because they're different sports. And Jake Paul's trying to perfect the craft.
Bisping also had some words of praise for Perry's incredible fighting career and concluded by hoping for a Perry victory, which he again stated was highly unlikely. But let's quickly look at the other UFC fighters who talked about the fight.
The talk of the town is Mike Perry, Jake Paul. Love both of them. Mike Perry as a dog is not a bad bet. For as many rounds as it goes, Jake Paul is going to be on his back foot and he's going to be working the entire... You're fighting a straight dog, man. And he's never fought anybody like this. The fight that he lost Tommy Fury, dude, you know what Mike Perry do to Tommy Fury? I don't think this goes to the judges. I think somebody's gonna get stopped. Odds are Jake Paul clips Perry, but still, at plus 250 in straight boxing, man, not a bad bet.
Can Mike Perry stalk him in the way that he stalks these guys in bare knuckle? And does the damage make Jake Paul start to question himself like it did to Luke Rockhold? What we have learned about Jake is that he possesses enough skills to cause problems for many in the boxing ring. He's going to be bigger than Perry. He's going to have more boxing experience than Perry. But does that equate? If I'm being honest with you, I believe that Mike Perry wins this fight. I think Mike Perry is going to make this fight just ugly enough to beat Jake. But if he doesn't, and if his game plan isn't ideal, he will find himself putting himself in dangerous areas, and Jake Paul can crack.
Perry versus Jake Paul. I think it's more of a competitive match. I think Tyson was just a little bit too, aged, weathered. But I think Mike Perry versus Jake Paul is a very, very interesting, very competitive fight. I think it would be the most competitive fight Jake's had outside of the Tommy Fury fight. I would be very interested to seeing it, and I'm excited to see it. I think it's actually happening July 20th, and I don't know where, but I want to go. Ooh.
Who wins and how, Mike or Jake? I mean, goddamn, who's going to be more healthy? Last time we saw Jake Paul, he's looking like he's about 220, 225. I don't know what weight this is going to be at. I heard 170, 175. Ooh. That's cutting 40 or 50 pounds.
It ain't nothing.
And that's going to be 40, 50 pounds in, 5 weeks? I'm curious to what weight it's going to be at because, like I said, last time we saw Jake Paul's really big. And, that.
I don't think Mike versus Jake's at 170 or 175. There's no way.
I don't know why it would be.
230 when I saw him in Miami. Hey, buddy, let me talk. I think, God dang it, that's actually a tough fight to predict. Because Mike's in it, but he's in bare knuckle. It is a different sport, different size space to fight it, different range. It's it's very similar but very different. Jake's been boxing, Mike's been bare knuckle boxing. You just don't get you didn't gong.
So it looking like the experts are on the fence on who's got the better shot at winning this fight. A lot of people feel that the problem child is gonna edge Platinum Perry to take the victory. British MMA fighter Michael Venom Page also made an interesting analysis and prediction on the fight. Page picked Perry to defeat Paul, stating that Paul's got a shot winning the first 3 rounds. However, if he fails to take down Platinum within those 3 rounds, then Perry's got a better chance of winning.
You know what, I actually have to, for the first time I think, rate Jake Paul for the decision because it's a tough fight. I've been in there with him myself. Very different, but he's just a hard person to kill, and he's a person that will keep coming forward. So I think depending on how many rounds there are, it's a tough fight for Jake Paul. And we know Jake Paul has power, but I think his power is in the first 3 rounds. After that, if he doesn't get Perry out, which I don't believe he will within the first 3. He'll probably lose that fight.
Sean Strickland was also asked to share his thoughts on the fight. Now, the former champion has been against any fight involving Paul and slammed the problem child for wanting to fight Mike Tyson. He shared a similar opinion on the July 20th clash between Paul and Perry.
Mike Perry is going to be boxing Jake Paul. What do you make of that?
It's just a clown show. I'm actually a big fan of Mike Perry. I'm so happy for his success, and I hope he gets a bag with this one. But again, Jake Paul, you're fighting a welterweight, and maybe if it's bare knuckle, that'd be cooler. But it's like me challenging a soccer player to an MMA fight. It just ain't the same, dude. But I'm very happy for Perry. I'm happy for your success, bro. Keep making that money.
Female kickboxing champion and MMA fighter Angela Hill also shared a similar opinion, hoping that this will be a bare knuckle fight. Now, Hill also rooted for Perry, but was skeptical about his chances.
I wish it was bare knuckle. I feel like that's Mike Perry's sport, so I would part of me wants him to just take his gloves off halfway through and throw down. But I think he has a better chance than a lot of the MMA people who fought Jake Paul. So we'll see what happens. I haven't really been studying Jake Paul. I've watched all of Mike Perry's fights, and he just looks better every time he gets in there and bare knuckles. So hopefully those skills transfer over to boxing with gloves.
Boxer and YouTuber Tim Welch also broke down both fighters and gave Paul a better shot at winning this fight, primarily due to him training as a pro boxer. He stated that Perry's gonna have a tough time in the ring, and his only shot at winning this fight is if he brawls and goes wild against Jake Paul.
Jake Paul purely trains boxing like a professional boxer year-round. That's all he does. He's not training bare knuckle. He's not doing MMA right now. He's purely training like a professional boxer. The fight is going to be 8 rounds of 3 minutes. Remember, BKFC rounds there's 6 rounds, 2-minute rounds. So the pace 100% changes. With 10-ounce gloves, 10-ounce gloves, I'm telling you guys, you can cover a lot. You can cover a lot. There's 10-ounce gloves this big. You can cover your ear. You can cover behind your head just like this. With bare knuckle, you can't cover that much. So there's ways to sneak through. 8 3-minute rounds, the pace completely changes. Like I said, bare knuckle is made for Mike Perry. He's a pit bull made for bare knuckle with strong hands, and he doesn't mind getting hit in the top of the head. He's good at making it a brawl and making it ugly and sneaking through those knuckles. You can get away with a lot more in bare knuckle. And even in MMA, when there's 4-ounce gloves, you can sneak shots behind the ear back here. Boom, club them behind the ear, split them up the middle. Cuts are easy. Remember how Jake Paul looked against Nate Diaz? He pieced him up pretty bad, and yes, it's a completely different fight. And Mike Perry's keys to win, he's gonna have to make it ugly. If he stands there with Jake Paul and goes jab for jab and makes it a point fighting match, then Jake Paul's probably gonna win it. One thing that makes it a little iffy is we sat ringside versus Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva did it. Yes, Anderson Silva's a lot older, but he came forward. He tried to break Jake Paul. He tried to not give him any air. Every time the ref break him, he'd be right back on him, trying to break him, trying to pressure him and just overwhelm him with that pressure. And it didn't work. So what do? You box a brawler. And if you're a brawler, what do? You brawl a boxer. So he's gonna have to make it ugly. Jake Paul's big, 76-inch reach. He's a big kid. When he was getting ready for Mike Tyson, I think they said he got up to around 220, close to 230, and they're gonna fight at cruiserweight.
So it looking like the MMA world has picked Mike Perry to win this fight, while the boxing world thinks that Jake Paul's gonna take the W. But yo, as always, I want to hear your thoughts on this fight, man. Who y'all think's gonna win in this fight? Make sure y'all let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in my next video.